Happy Thanksgiving, everyone out there in RX Muscle Land. And we are here live, of course, with Heavy Muscle Radio on this November 28th, 2022 evening, here with Chris, the technician Aceto. And a lot has gone on over the weekend. You know, Chris, it seems like Thanksgiving is like this, pretty much it's the start of the holiday season. And people get like instantly depressed and at the same time, like overly joyous because they're like shopping. You have the group of people that can't wait to start shopping. And then the people who just are utterly depressed because it's the holiday season,
Well, people are utterly depressed for the most part anyway.
Yeah,
it's exact. Well, I was at CVS today and getting a prescription. The prescriptions are like a gazillion. It's funny that you should say it. And someone I know is a pharmacist there, and I said, I've never seen so many prescriptions. He says, for depression.
Yeah.
That was the answer. It's so crazy that you start out with, that's how you started out the show is, I don't even know why I would ask that because I was bored and, I didn't know he was working at that pharmacy and I was waiting in line and I thought I'd say something, off the cuff.
I think it has anything to do with the fact that, people think that it's, with the government giving people money now and people are on disability, everyone's on disability, right? Mental disability, not physical disability. And everyone thinks it's great. You know what? Yes, I'm going to get paid from the government. I'm not going to do anything. I get to sit home. I don't have to work. But what they don't realize is that when they do that, after the first week, they're so depressed because they have no drive to do anything. They don't know what to do with themselves. And they start drinking or doing drugs or just going out of their freaking mind because they don't have anything to go to. They're not a part of anything. They're completely dissociated from society. They're at home. After they've mowed the lawn 40 times and trimmed the trees and cleaned the house, what's there left to do anymore?
Well, I mean, it's Bob Gruskin said it best like years ago. I remember I had to be like a 19-year-old kid and somebody was calling on the phone. Maybe I was 17. And I don't think I really heard the word depression. And, Bob was talking to the bodybuilder about depression. And Bob was encouraging him, like he had a whole giant list, get out, go to the mall, take your girlfriend out for coffee, go out to eat, go for a walk, go for a bike ride, take a vacation somewhere. And I didn't get what was going on. I said, Bob, why'd you, what was the point in suggesting all those things? He said, because when people stay home and they feel oftentimes if they're, especially if they're clinically lean, chemically in their brain towards depression,
right?
Being home can exacerbate that and lead to the feeling of, loneliness, which is different than solitude,
But I know people that even have good relationships with their wife or girlfriend that they live with, and they're still bored out of their mind because they don't. You have to have a purpose in life. You have to have something to do. I always said, when people always said, well, if you don't work, you're going to go out of your mind. I say, I have so many projects in my head that I'm doing at all times. I'm never bored because I have so much going on. Now, obviously, I have my kids now, but before I had kids, I never was bored. There was never a moment in the day where I said to myself, I don't know what to do with myself.
Well, that's staying busy is half of someone's success to avoiding depression. Which is just that there's a lot of other reasons obviously that lead to depression, and I think just around holiday times, people think like I think I'm speculating. This is Thanksgiving coming together, and they see other people look like having the greatest day of their lives or the greatest time, and they think they're negative thinkers, or they tend to they reflect on their sorrow more than anything else, and think, gosh, Dave and Amanda are having such a good time, and the kids are having a good time, and the aunts and uncles, how come my life is terrible?
Yeah. I actually like going out on Thanksgiving. I came from a background where we always went to my father's, mother's house, to my grandmother's house, and she always cooked, the crazy Italian Thanksgiving dinners, which were great, everything like that, because I had a million relatives. But nowadays, because my family is much smaller, I actually like going out to restaurants and stuff like that and socializing with other people. Not that I'm sitting here talking to them, but it's kind of it's entertaining in a sense, and I love watching my kids get all excited. We went out to Cracker Barrel, which it's not the highest end. You don't have that many choices on Thanksgiving.
On Thanksgiving,
Even
that's right.
Asian people are open on Christmas, but they close on Thanksgiving. That's their one holiday they take a year. They close, and so we only had a couple choices. We could have stayed home, but I'm like, they wanted to go out, the kids, and we didn't want to clean up anything, so we. Cracker Barrel. I've never seen so many people smoking in a parking lot, Chris. I didn't even know people smoke cigarettes anymore, to be honest with you, until I went to Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, they smoke them indiscriminately. Not as people don't want to be shit. People like smoke in their cars. They don't smoke out in public as much anymore because they don't want to be told like, "Hey, there's no smoking over here. Get over here."
In North Fort Myers, they don't care.
I have allergies.
They smoke out in North Fort Myers. They smoke. They don't care. I'll tell you one thing. They have a store there, like a gift shop, Cracker Barrel. So it's a restaurant with a gift shop. The old people who were in there were so entertained by my kids that they were coming up to me and saying, "Oh, you're so lucky."
They love it. Vitality. Yes.
My kids were running around like they were on a shopping spree, like everything was free. They have no value of money. My son thinks that he thinks we're billionaires and we can buy anything. It doesn't matter. And if we break this, we'll just buy another one. That's his attitude. Yeah. So all the old people are coming up to me.
Yeah, that energy is contagious. The little kids
are
right?
So wonderful. Blue eyes and you're so lucky. And
you got to ask them. Do you babysit? You got to find one. Do you live in the area?
I said, can they sit at your table? I said during dinner.
My wife
love it. I would like to be alone.
Well, you know what? They would sit at that table and they would probably behave.
Of course.
And the people you don't even know would come up to you and say, you have the 3 most well-behaved children we've ever seen. And then you get in the car and they act wild. Start hitting each other.
Until my son asked the people they're sitting with for their cell phone. And then that would have been it. There would have been a massive fight over who gets the cell phone and what they're going to watch on it. But anyway, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. It was fun. We had a great Thanksgiving Day sale. We had a great Black Friday sale at speciesnutrition.com. And we have a great Cyber Monday sale coming up. It's going to be, let me get this right. It's going to be 25% off the entire website. Cyber 25 is the code you put on checkout. You spend $60 or more after that discount, you will get a free, not discounted, a free 22 serving Isolized, and it's going to be pumpkin spice. I'm giving away free pumpkin spice Isolized. If you haven't tried it, it's probably one of the best flavors we have. It's outrageous, and we're going to be giving that away for free. $60 or more, one per customer, and act now. Well, actually, I think we have about we have about 2 hours before the sale starts. So it starts at 12 midnight on Monday, and it'll go for 24 hours, and then that's it. So don't call me crying if you forget to do the sale.
I want the free Team Palumbo T-shirt.
Someone sent me this. One of my clients sent me this, and I
knew you were going to say that, Dave.
They sent it to me like a year ago, and I forgot I had it in my drawer, and I took it out. I said, "Wow, I should make these for my clients. These are awesome." So anyway, thank you. I can't remember who gave it to me though. That's how pathetic. That's how pathetic I am.
Yeah, they're probably listening and say, "Hey, I was the one."
No, that's why I'm admitting that I don't remember who gave it to me, but it was a very thoughtful client of mine. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, Jim Lorimer, co-creator of the Arnold Classic, died at 96 years of age. Chris, do you remember your first meeting or the first time you heard the name Jim Lorimer?
Forrest Gump, dude. I'm telling you, I'm 1 degree of separation from all history in bodybuilding, all of it. Between
you and Wayne Leader.
Well, I fall asleep at 10:30 at night, and Wayne Dementia goes to Wayne could be a debate coach.
He loves when you talk about him, Chris. He loves it.
Well, I saw we'll get to the Washington Post with their little snafu they had over the weekend.
Well, they're going to, I think we're going to see another article that they're supposed to come out with, right?
Yeah, they're backpedaling on the Jerry Jones quote story that wasn't a story.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're talking about Lorimer, which is Arnold's partner. Jim Lorimer, this is a true story, except Jim does not remember.
He probably remembers now.
Jim Lorimer had in his gym. Do you remember when we were kids and we'd watch the Wide World of Sports or the Olympics and the Russian guy? Who was the Russian?
Agony defeat.
No, the Russian guy who was the strongest clean and jerk.
Alexei.
Yeah, Alexia, Dave can't stump Dave. Yeah, Alexia. He had whatever the clean and jerk record was. First of all, he had in his Columbus, Ohio gym, he had the bar with all those weights on it. So when he broke that record, Jim had it on display.
Really? How did
in
he
his
get that?
gym. I think he did it in Ohio, maybe. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Ben Weider had Napoleon's shirt that he puked on before when he died. So
I thought he had his socks.
No, he had the shirt that he puked on with his death shirt.
So Mike Francois, this is a true story, walked into, was in the seminary, the Josephinum Cemetery in Columbus, Ohio, he was, studying to become and enter the priesthood. And he liked to work out and, had great genetics. He didn't know it, I guess. I mean, but he was a big, I guess he was big. And he decided that he was going to go instead of at the campus, he'd go down to the gym. And Jim Lorimer said,
was it the World Gym? Chris?
This was Lorimer's, World. Yes.
Which one? Was it the one downtown near the convention center or the other one?
No, the old one, the old.
Okay.
And Jim said, I'm going to give you a free membership. And I promote the Arnold Classic, if you ever win it, quote, I will give you the gym. Mike will be so embarrassed I told that story.
No, you've told the story before.
I know, but Mike gets embarrassed. But it's true. He said.
I asked Mike about that when I interviewed him. By the way, he did verify that story. So
yeah. So you say things like, oh, you know what? If I won the lottery, won $3 billion, I'd share it with all the RX people listening to the radio show tonight.
Yes, I won't. By the way, but yeah.
So you can have this gym if you win the Arnold Classic. And Mike went on to win the Arnold Classic, and
on his birthday.
Yep, Mike introduced me to on his 30th birthday. To Jim, I think it must have been 1992 when I think he was prepping for the the Nationals, the USA. Mm-hmm. And at those days, Jim was was in the gym on a daily basis. He had one workout, and two, he liked to be there. But Jim, I'm pretty sure, was the president of Nationwide Insurance. Columbus is a big insurance town.
Nationwide is big. That I remember seeing them all over the place when we would go.
What's their little logo? What's their little jingle, Dave? See if you know it. Nationwide is on your side.
Is on our side. Yeah.
So, Jim was fond of Mike. Mike fond of Jim, and of course, Jim went on to partner with Arnold because Jim was promoting, I think it was the Mr. World in Columbus, Ohio.
They did the Olympia there, I think, right?
Yeah, eventually did the Olympia with Arnold, but I think he used to have the Mr. International or the Mr. World with
that's where the Miss International came from. I think it was called the Mr. International too, right? And then they changed it to the Arnold Classic in '89.
That was Andreas Colling's big win.
Oh, what's this? Okay.
People have no idea who Andreas Colling is. But
Andreas, how I know Andreas Colling to me was when I was coming up. He made the posing suits that everyone used to buy.
He must have made $1 gazillion.
Him and Jaguar. You remember that they were the only two games in town.
Yeah, but Andreas was the first. Andreas Colling had a free ad from Joe in the magazine.
Oh, that's what he did.
And Andreas would have a full page ad, and he was the first to take the Arnold style posing trunks. Right. And just trim them up so that they were much smaller.
He had it was called Olympia style, right? Olympia suit or something like that. Olympia
and he started out with red, blue, and green, and then went to every color imaginable, and made a fortune.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you could literally you picked your size, and you would. I mean, they fit better than what was everyone else was wearing prior to that. But then, of course, then the custom suits came around after that. But
yeah.
And Andreas's big thing was he was supposedly a vegetarian bodybuilder. And I actually asked him about that when I interviewed him at some point. I think it was at the Masters Olympia. And he said, well, I ate fish. The people who just ate fish and didn't eat red meat and chicken, they would call themselves vegetarians back.
It's like when I competed in the Natural League, but I took Tren.
No, but no one knew that was a vegetarian. Vegetarian meant you didn't eat red meat, but the term now is, I guess, vegan, which would mean you don't eat any meat at all or any animal products, So, but he See, he really wasn't a vegetarian, and he just didn't eat red meat, that kind of no chicken. So
yeah, good guy though. He's I don't know where
how we
for
got
years.
Andre's calling from Jim Lorimer, I'm not sure, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I had no idea, but Jim Lorimer, of course, would go on to I can tell you, Dave, I went to the Arnold when Gaspari won '89. Was that the first one?
Yeah. Yep.
And it was sold out. And there was no such thing as a trade show.
It was just a show, right? It was in the Veterans
just a show, and the show was, prejudging the finals, and some of the bodybuilders, would run out after prejudging and sell pictures, like in this most crowded, crazy lobby of the auditorium, and you could make a fortune there.
Oh yeah, everyone would buy a picture. That's why everyone bought a picture.
Yeah, there was no phones to take pictures, with people, and you get to see bodybuilders, and you'd never get to see them like you do now, because now we get to see Nick Walker brushing his teeth 3 times a day and eating all 17 meals.
Right.
So back then you'd only see Gaspari once a month in the magazine. So like the star power effect, really, I mean, people don't realize when you would back then, because the access to them was so limited, that when you got a chance to see like Gaspari or whatever, it was like a big deal.
Chris, I did a show in Jersey, and Gary Stridham was guest posing at the show. And I was so starstruck by him. And I'm not really a starstruck guy, but I wanted to be a bodybuilder. I was trying to be a bodybuilder so bad that he was so impressive, in person, that I was too embarrassed to ask to take a picture of him. So I made my sister take a picture with him. And I snapped a picture of my sister and Stridham, which he probably much preferred to take a picture of my sister than with me, but it was just pretty funny. That's how incredible these guys looked. They were superstars, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, they were, not only did you not have access to them, but there was no criticism of them, because of social media, you can see them, but you can also, in real time criticize them.
Right.
Whereas, as Jay always says, Joe crafted the narrative, and then later Blackman. But Joe crafted the narrative and held that tight in terms of like, how am I going to portray Mike Francois? How am I going to portray Rich Gaspari? How am I going to portray Lee Haney? And it was all simply positive. So, as somebody who's like, a teenager or a 20-year-old getting into bodybuilding, you would see Gaspari or Stridham. Your only understanding of them was positives.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
some clarification for one of our viewers. Andreas was a pescatarian. He only eats seafood and eggs. Yeah, thank you for the clarification. I'm glad we have such intelligent listeners.
Well, they're not all intelligent. I do read some of the comments, and like 72% seem like idiots, but
so my interactions with Jim Lorimer were always very positive. Prior to working for Blackman, I guess that was around prior to 2000, I did have some interactions like hello and talking to him for a few minutes, because I was a pretty, walking around the Arnold Classic, people were impressing, when I walked around there in the mid to late 90s. Obviously, when I was always working at the Metrics booth at the Arnold Classic, a lot of people came up to us, and Jim Lorimer would always stop by and say hello. But I really got to know Jim when I interviewed him. For every year I would interview him on the radio show. The first 3 years from 06, 07, 08 were with Blackman. When I was with Muscular Development, I had the Noble radio show there. And then when I moved to RX Muscle, and we had the Heavy Muscle radio show, Jim came on every year. I mean, every year I had an interview with Jim, and he would go over all the events and what they were adding and the history of the Arnold. And it was, the guy was, you could tell he just liked to talk about it. It wasn't like, he wasn't like a businessman who was like, let me just put in 5-10 minutes. He would talk for an hour or more if I let him go. That's how enthusiastic he was about it. When we would go to the show, we would always somehow run into him. He'd be like, all right, come with me. And he would take us, that expo stage inside the expo there had behind the curtain, they had this like elevator. It was more like a forklift, but the thing would lift you up all the way up like 100 feet in the air up to the top of the expo center. You'd be overlooking the expo stage, and you'd see this wall of people, like 100,000 people. They were like ants. And he would be like, pretty good view, huh? he was so proud. It was like his child that he created. And people probably told him he was crazy doing this, because I don't think people ever envisioned that many people coming to Columbus, Ohio. We're not talking about Vegas or Orlando. We're talking about Columbus, Ohio in the winter when it's fucking freezing and snowing. People came there from all over the world. This guy built a show that is bigger than the Olympics.
Yeah.
And it's unfathomable. Granted, Arnold helped promote it, but it wasn't Arnold. I mean, Arnold added the star power to it, but Lorimer, they built that show, and he had his little crew that worked there. And every year they made it bigger, and they expanded it to the Ohio State campus for the track and field and then gymnastics. They brought into the Expo Center, and they had the MMA across the street. It was so much fun going there. It was like, I didn't know where to go first. I felt like, when you go trick-or-treating, Chris, you don't know what house to start with because there's too many fucking people giving away candy. That's what the Arnold Classic was like.
Yeah, no, that's why I wanted to juxtapose it with the first year that he had it. If you remember, was just the bodybuilding. That's it. Prejudging was at like 11, and the finals were at 5, and 4,000 people showed up. And yes, it was a big hit and a big event, but they continued to make it grow. And to make something grow, you have to have a vision. And I think really, Perfect Partners were Arnold. I don't. It probably couldn't have happened and morphed into what it did without Arnold, but it couldn't have happened and morphed to what it did without the Lorimer family, because, they had strong community connections to Columbus, Ohio, and to get it to grow, you needed hundreds of volunteers. When even back, at the beginning, when you showed up as an athlete, Dave Palumbo's in the show, make sure this is his flight number. You have to pick him up. Everything was, there's a lot of details, and there's a lot of planning, and like, as I said, it requires volunteers, and you can't get people to volunteer, meaning to work for free,
right? Unless
you're a good person and respected person in the community. And anyone from Columbus, Ohio knows. I'm going to write it down. I want to read his obituary in the Columbus newspaper, because it's probably like crazy impressive.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think that's exactly what I was showing you too.
There you go. Because I'm on Team Palumbo. We think alike.
It's amazing when you think about it, though. But they had the same people working there every year. Matter of fact, some of the guys there I had problems with the first couple times I went there. And then I became really good friend. Matt Lors and I had, who ran the show for years. He left when Bob Lorimer left, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But when I first met him, he didn't want to give me press passes. He thought like they wouldn't approve RX muscle press passes. This was back in 2000. I'm like, man, I've been coming with metrics for years. I said, I work for muscular development. I should have used the muscular development thing, but I didn't want to pull that. So they wouldn't give me press passes. But I said, but you're going to give like Denise Messino the press passes. They had that Muscle Elegance booth. Mm-hmm. And I got to kind of like an argument with him. And then I got Bleckman to call, or Bleckman's secretary to call and get me press passes with RF with muscular development. And he reluctantly, of course, gave them to me because he just turned me away, right? And but then we just bonded after that. I saw him every single year. We just became friendly, and I still I talk to him on Facebook all the time. So
did not to change the subject, Dave. Denise Messino, did she pay? Did she had contracts with athletes, right?
Yes.
It's a WP dig, Washington Post dig. Denise Messino. Professional athlete.
She paid a lot of people
porn site and employed a lot of female bodybuilders to do porn. They'll cover that though. They'll cover that for sure.
It's all about money, that, Chris. At the end of the day.
I'm just saying there was contracts for quote exploited.
She paid the women really well to be in that magazine. Remember how popular? You see, the internet destroyed magazines, including porn magazines. You think about it. Playboy magazine is like, does it even exist anymore? Probably not.
No, you can buy the name. Somebody, it's funny. I ran into someone in a law office one day, and he was trying to buy the name. And
oh, really? For
the name
$20?
Oh yeah, it wasn't a lot. They were licensing it, Dave. You could put it on an energy drink, which he had done.
Oh wow,
He had, and he paid like nothing.
wow. That just goes to show you that the internet really did destroy. You know what they say? What killed the radio? The TV killed the radio, and
Yeah,
the internet killed
AOL dial-up.
Yeah.
Remember
Yep,
that
I had
killed
it. Believe me. But the sad part of the whole Lorman thing was because the guy lived a great life. Obviously, 96 years old. He did what he loved. He worked he went into the office every day. Even when he was in his 90s, he was going into the office. Even though his son Bob was doing a lot of the running around, Jim still was, doing the relationship work. And he went into the office because he loved being there around the whole situation. It excited him. It's a shame that him and Arnold, split ways right at the end. I'm sure that probably broke his heart a little bit, but that was probably the only blemish on that whole relationship, because they always prided themselves on the fact that it was a handshake. Jim and Arnold had a handshake. Unfortunately, I don't think that Arnold got along well with Bob, Jim's son, and I think that's where the relationship's out. It wasn't a Jim Arnold thing. Jim really wasn't doing it. I mean, when you're in your 90s, you're not running any businesses anymore. Most of the time. So that's the only thing I think that really probably left a sour taste in that whole relationship. The fact that they split right before, Jim died.
Yeah.
But I really love Jim. He's the kind of guy that you would love to have as your father, but probably would have been a very tough father to have, because he was like very militant, and, you did it his way or the highway. Matter of fact, I heard that when Arnold would come in late to like meetings and stuff, that Jim would yell at him. Like it was like Jim was like his father almost, and Arnold wouldn't say anything. And I'm sure that Arnold wouldn't take any crap from anyone else. That's for sure. The only person Arnold would probably take anything from would be Jim Lorimer and Joe Weider, probably the only two people. But they had a special relationship. It was great. They really, that show the history of that show is because of that relationship that they nurtured.
Yep.
And it was all because Arnold loved the way that Jim threw, right? Didn't Arnold compete in the show that Jim threw? And he loved the way he ran the show?
Yeah. What show did Arnold compete at? Or
it was like the Mr. World or something like that, right?
Yeah. It was a big show there in Columbus. It was in Columbus, and that's where they met.
And he said, when I'm done competing, I want to promote shows at you because you're so good at it.
That's exactly, and he said, well, good. I won't own a gym because I'll have given it in the future to Mike Francois. On a handshake.
Maybe Mike can pick the gym up now. The gym is passed. Maybe he left it to Mike in his will.
Well, we can use the idea of a hand. I wonder if Dave, if Mike has shook his hand, because if you can put together an Arnold Classic on a handshake, and that's a binding agreement.
Were you a witness to him saying, "I'll give you the gym," or no?
No.
Okay. I was going to say maybe Mike could petition for that gym.
I would have provided an affidavit. I have all that stuff right here.
The Washington Post might call you to ask you if you have that information. But, we lost a good person. I didn't really know him personally, but you know this guy Eric. Eric, the trainer, lived in Maine. I think he was born and raised in Maine, right?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know him. It's weird that I told you he reached out to me like 2 or 3 years months ago.
I called Chris and said, Chris, or I texted him. I said, this guy, he died, this Eric, the trainer guy. And you said that he reached out to you, which was weird.
Yeah. He said, I'm from Maine too. And I blah, 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 bodybuilding. And I'm in LA. You were in LA. And I don't think I sent anything back. I may have gave a thumbs up or something.
Right.
But yeah, he had just, just the idea that he was from Maine, and living in LA. How many people from Maine are living in LA training people? Not many. So
Eric Fleischman. I guess he used the name Eric the Trainer, and he trained a bunch of celebrities. Yeah. He's originally started working at Gold's Gym in New Haven, the Montanaro Brothers Gym. And he unfortunately committed suicide. And I guess that goes along with our theme that there's a lot of depressed people on the holidays, Chris. And we see a lot of suicides over the holidays. It's very sad. Very sad. Yeah. I guess he was trained by Frank Zane, Don Howarth, the Duke of the Deltoids. They call Don. Did you ever meet Don Howarth?
No, I know who he is, though.
It's
I know of him.
1967, Mr. America.
Yep.
He trained Eric the Trainer, trained Big Time Rush, Ethan Suplee, Kirstie Alley, Michelle Branch, Big John McCarthy, the referee Max Martini, Rachel Crow. He served on the Muscle Beach Hall of Fame nomination committee. So I guess Lee Priest probably was. He probably voted for Lee Priest to be on that.
Yeah, he it's very, he was, I guess, training people, celebrities and minor celebrities and people in the business, Hollywood. If you're out in LA and if you're a good trainer, it's amazing, like the opportunities to train people in Hollywood come around. I mean, they don't have to be 37.
37.
Oh, I didn't know he was that young.
Yeah, wow. You know what? You got to have a pair of balls on you, Chris, to take a gun and blow your brains out. I mean, you got to be pretty sad. There's got to be some serious demons in your head to do that. That takes a lot. I don't think I could do it, to be honest with you.
Well, it just boils down to it doesn't boil down to that, but people live with enormous amount of pain.
Yeah.
And they, opioids are a way to suppress that. And then if that no longer works, I'm not saying he used opioids, but, just finishing it completely is, the way to escape pain, emotional. And all that pain is emotional pain. It's not physical pain. None of it is physical.
No.
Right?
No. And it's perceived pain. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't in probably physical pain. He was just unhappy and depressed. And I know we talked about this with Luke Sando, when he died, but I guess unless you have been chronically depressed, you probably can't relate to what, these guys are going through or girls are going through that feel this way. And obviously I've never been chronically depressed, but it must be terrible to wake up every day and just not be happy,
Yeah, I mean, it's
enough that you don't want to live anymore,
think how common it is. It's so common, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's so common that people, it happens in every community and people just numb to it. I mean, it's not even it's not.
And my whole theory about the weather doesn't even apply to him because he was living in LA. I mean, which is got nice weather every day there. You can't ever
still in Maine, right? Cloudy.
I mean, I tell people,
cloudy.
Yeah, a lot of people have seasonal depression. Well, some people have seasonal depression because it gets like dark and it's cold, like in New York. I would get seasonal depression, not depression, but you'd be like, who wants to go out? It's disgusting today.
Yeah.
It's always sunny here in Florida. I tell people I'm never depressed here in Florida, So even on days I should be depressed, I'm not depressed because it's so nice here. You just breathe, take a deep breath of the air. I mean, it's like, I used to always say to myself, when I would go on vacation to Florida, like to Orlando or Miami, I'd be like, wow, it's so beautiful here. Like why I couldn't make the connection with, I love it here. The weather's awesome. I'd love to live here, but yet I can't live. Like I had that, that block my father would have. Like my father would say, yeah, it's great here. This is like the perfect place to live, but I can't live there because I'm too fucking tied to New York because I don't know why I am, but I am. Kind of thing. I don't really know why I was. People just get comfortable where they are. It's Jimmy the Bull. That's his problem. He can't leave.
People get comfortable and you can. I mean, New York's not a bad place to live, but you can justify the beauty of. I mean, I hear it all the time from people. The beauty of the. I don't want to get shit on someone's state.
Right.
The beauty of living in the woods in Maine. It's just the air is so fresh. Wouldn't you rather be in Miami though?
Yeah. Well, they got nice. I mean, I live in the woods here. You saw my house, and and it's warm. You can find woods in a warm area as well as a cold area. I do know there are people that like to live in like New York City. They like that city lifestyle.
Yeah, the energy.
I don't like it, but there are people that love the culture and the aspect of the buildings and all that. And so for those people, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And you know who else died? You probably didn't know who he was, but let me see if I can pull him up here. He was a Borscht Belt comedian. They ring a bell? Freddie Roman.
Don't know.
You don't know Freddie Roman? He would perform up in the Catskill Mountains. They call the Catskill Mountains the Borscht Belt because borscht is something the Jewish people eat. And all the Catskill Mountain hotel resorts used to be, all the Jewish people would go up there for the summer and hang out there and stay there. And my family would go up there. My grandparents would go up there for 2 weeks, and we would come up for a week at the end of the summer and spend it up there. And they would have the comedians would all do the rounds, all the hotels they had up there. So they called it the Borscht Belt. And he was a staple. He was like a guy who was a comedian.
Is the Catskill still a big deal?
I think they turned it into gambling.
Casino.
Now, so,
I just guessed. How's that? I think they turned it into. Let me guess. I said casino. Of course.
It was 85. Well, isn't it funny? All these old comedians that didn't take care of themselves. They were all overweight. They all lived to like 100. These guys. They're all like 89, 90.
Laughing is like. I mean, who's more depressed than comedians?
Jerry Stiller, Hugh Hefner.
Right? They always say, right? Comedians always say, they're depressed and their humor is their survival mechanism.
Yeah. He was one of these guys that would roast people. When they used to have the roasts, they would always get him in there to roast people. They would make the Friars roast, Dean Martin Friars roasts.
No, we get the roast on the comment section.
No one even knows what I'm talking about. They would have these shows where they would get like, we're gonna George Burns. We're gonna get George Burns. We're gonna roast him, and they would get all his friends and everyone, any funny comedian, and they would go up there and do a couple minutes of how they know George Burns. And they would just, every little weakness the person had, every little nuance, any little scandal in the news, they would just rip them a new asshole with this. And it was so funny because it was so true. And no one cared. It was racist. It was everything you could possibly be. Sexist. They would never get away with it today in a million years. They would be
they cancel everyone.
And shutdowns and cancels and couldn't do those roasts today. You couldn't even replay them probably in this day and age. I'm surprised they could even show reruns of All in the Family nowadays with all the cancel culture.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, one of my favorite shows, All in the Family,
or the Jeffersons, or Sanford and Son. They were all based on, stereotypes of race and religion. Yeah. It was great. Yeah. We're so uptight now. We've actually regressed, Chris. We've gone like back to like my father used to always say the reason why we're so uptight in this country is because the Pilgrims, they were Puritans. They don't very uptight people, and that's who settled this country, and that's who run the country. The Protestant, people.
Yeah.
And we kind of moved away from that, right? In the 60s and 70s, everything became free love, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And then all of a sudden, somehow we moved back in the same direction again.
Pendulum. It's a pendulum.
Everyone's insulted about everything. You can't say anything. And you say if the person looks like they tired, they're gonna sue you for saying that you insulted their eyes.
Mention the bags under my eyes.
Yeah. You did that because I'm Asian and I have small eyes. That's why.
Yeah. Careful, Dave. You're already can't even reference it. There's no references.
No references whatsoever. Hey, so we lost a bunch of people this weekend, but Jim Lorimer lived a great life, 96. Eric, the trainer, unfortunately, we send our condolences out to his family because that's a terrible thing to lose someone from suicide. And I just want to let everyone know if you are feeling depressed, this is the season. A lot of people feel that way. Seek help, please. Leslie Simmons and I are going to do a show on iron therapy this coming week about that. So it was either between people who feel depressed during the holidays, Chris, or shopaholics, and then all these people. Then Eric, the trainer, killed himself. So that kind of we were going to talk about the depression because it's important because I don't want to see anyone in our industry or anywhere, needlessly killing themselves because they just don't feel like anyone loves them or something like that, or people are there to support them. Everyone's there to support each other, and anyone can reach out to me anytime they want. Not that I don't know if I can help, but I could always, like I said, there's always people there that can help you, and never feel like it's helpless and there's no one who loves you. That's not true. All right, I just wanted to put that out there. All right, let's talk about the bodybuilding show this past weekend, the Big Man Championships that took place in Spain. We got a lot of pro shows in Spain this year, Chris. Huh?
Lots. Seems like every third week.
Yeah, I think that I'm glad that they're doing. I like Spain. If I wasn't,
I love Spain.
if I didn't have 3
Love
kids,
it.
I'd be out there probably covering the
I
shows.
know. If I didn't have 4, I would be right there behind you.
Yeah, some good stuff. Let's take a look.
But we do, so we're watching it on.
Oh wait, this is
that's Brazil.
This is Brazil. Let's talk about this first. This was Good Vito winning his pro card here.
Yeah.
At the muscle contest.
Yeah, it's much tighter than what was I down there 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, Muscle Contest International.
Yeah, he's much better here than there. So maybe I was like critical of his condition down there, but I didn't know that he was prepping for another show, in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that was the warm up. This is the
that was the Andrew Jack. Who's the other guy? Look, I said, wait till you see me when I finally die.
Right, yeah, exactly. Michael Crizzo.
Wait till you see me. Wait till you see me.
He's not 100% here. He's better, but he's still
good. He's good.
He's definitely a pro. There's no doubt that that's a pro physique,
Yeah, he loves to point those fingers on the back shots, right?
But he doesn't turn his head to the side like John Romano enjoys, likes to do.
I mean, he's good. I think he's young and needs to still mature as a bodybuilder and thicken up his back, not width but thickness. His condition could still be improved, and some of that comes from not doing a lot of shows.
Yeah, who does he look like? He reminds me of someone.
His front double's like Sergio. Exactly like Sergio.
Facially, I'm all about the face. He's facially he reminds me of someone. I can't put my finger on it. Like another pro or something like that.
You're usually good on those things.
Yeah, it'll come to me probably after the show's over. All right, let's talk about the big man in Spain. I didn't want to leave Good Vito out, and I figured I'd forget if I didn't put it up there. The Brett Wilkin qualifies for next year's Mr. Olympia competition. Remember, the wins here don't count for this year's Olympia. It's for next year. Brett Wilkin wins. He's the second from the left. Chris, give me your opinion on Wilkin.
I thought he looked great. I thought it was really close between him and Presti. Yep, I think Presti actually has more
upper body,
more muscle, but I think just actually Brett wins here on his balance. Like his legs are good, his hams are good, his glutes are good, his arms are good, shoulders are good, back is good. Nothing's like overpowering. Nothing's funny looking.
Right.
Nothing's like a little underwhelming. So lack of flaws combined with great condition in this lineup makes him, the winner.
He won 10 grand too. Not bad.
Yeah, I don't know if it was clear cut. Well, 10 grand is 9,300 in last year's dollars.
He won a nice little trophy around his neck there too.
Tax called inflation. Yeah, nice ring, nice trophy.
Let me ask you a question. When you win in Spain, what do you pay taxes? Do you pay U.S. taxes? Or you pay Spanish taxes?
I don't know. Both? No, you would at a minimum have to pay him. God, Uncle Sam always gets tax. No, without a shadow of a doubt, he's going to have to pay it on this side. I don't know about on that side though. I don't know.
Do you think the tax guy shows up and gives him a form?
I doubt it.
The only person never to pay taxes on his prize money. No. Well,
Dexter. Who?
No, they may not have paid it initially, but they eventually paid. No, it's a trick question, but I want to see if you come up with the answer.
What is the question again?
The only bodybuilder to win a very big prize and never have to pay taxes on it is who? Why?
Either one of the girls from the Wings of Strength or Flex Wheeler.
No, Kevin Levrone won $100,000 at the Russian Grand Prix, and they gave it to him in cash.
Oh, in cash, yeah.
Yeah, and they had he had to give everyone $10,000 to stick in their socks, and bring back.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Don't mention it. There might be a look back period. They call it a look back.
I don't think that anyone can track it. Where are we going to track it if he didn't?
I don't know. Wouldn't be hint the first time cash changed hands in bodybuilding, Dave.
Hold on, I'm trying to see if this God forbid anyone puts up to take some video at these shows.
I know.
I don't like these new rules. I got to tell you, I got to do a little rant here, Chris, with you. I've noticed, and I have clients who compete at all the shows throughout the United States. I don't know about what the deal is in Europe, but they don't allow cameras or phones anymore. They walk around like the Gestapo, and they prevent.
Can't say that, Dave. Don't say that.
I can say that all I want.
I might cancel you, but go ahead.
It's my show. No one can cancel it. No, seriously. They walk around and they don't let people film. Now, I don't know what the reason is. I guess they must have a photographer there who's selling pictures. But you know what? In today's day and age, with the internet and social media, you know what? Did not let people take pictures, because I have clients, they have no pictures of themselves. They got to wait. And then sometimes the pictures don't come out good, because usually they have a photographer there, and the pictures will go to the NPC News website at some point, or they can buy the pictures from the photographer. But you know what? If I'm competing, I'm going to buy the pictures from the photographer, whether people have cell phone pictures or not, because they're not going to be as good as the photographer who's sitting right in the front with no people in front of them. So I don't know why they're stopping people from taking pictures and stuff like that. It helps publicize the show and make it bigger. I don't understand it.
You don't
Doesn't
need to
make
understand
sense
it.
to me.
It's just remarkable greed. They don't want, they fear or feel. People who are telling you don't take pictures feel like they own those pictures, and they want to monetize the $5 or whatever. God, I mean, how much can you be possibly making from pictures? So they get pissed.
But Chris, they're going to buy the pictures anyway. They're going to buy the pictures
anyway. Not everyone.
Well, people who care about how they look, they're going to buy them. Okay. Yeah. You got to let people take pictures and promote the show. It's a promotion for the show. It makes the show bigger. It makes people get excited about the show. If there's only like a couple of little stupid little pictures, once again, I talked about earlier, we're regressing. We're regressing back to when you and I first started competing in the early 90s, and you would have these throwaway cameras, and you would be this big on the screen, and it would be pixelated, and it would look terrible. But that's all the pictures we had, because there was no one who had a good camera, there. Yeah. And I would buy the pictures from whoever. Doris Barillo took some pictures. I remember I bought some pictures from her from the Junior Nationals, and JM would take some. I bought some pictures from him, I think, from the USA. But no one else had pictures. That's it. And if they didn't catch you in the right pose, then you got no pictures of yourself. Yeah. And it wasn't because they didn't let you take pictures. It's just that everyone's camera sucked back then. Now we actually have an iPhone that can take a decent picture of ourselves, and we still can't have pictures of ourselves on stage. It's asinine. It's ridiculous. It's nuts that they don't let people take pictures and take some little cell phone videos of themselves to put up on their Instagram so that people can see what they look like.
Well, that's
what we're seeing. When I showed you that little good Vito thing, that's probably because someone snuck a fucking camera.
Yeah. Well, that's then the one or two people who sneak their iPhone and make a video, it gets recycled around to people who think they're ESPN's of bodybuilding, or the Sports Illustrated of bodybuilding. And all they're doing is following 10,000 other people, and they see a posing routine or video, and they're exclusive.
Yeah. You remember when Kennedy got shot and they had the Zabruta film? One guy was filming, and they analyzed this film 6,000. No one else was filming. It was just him filming. The one guy filming. Nowadays, there would have been 600 people that would have captured the Kennedy assassination. They would have had every angle in the world.
Well, you probably can assassinate someone at the bodybuilding show, Dave, because there'd be no footage really, because they banned cameras.
John Wilkes Booth killing Lincoln in Ford's Theater. There was no cameras back then because it was 65. Nowadays, we're just as bad nowadays, 150 years later, because no one's allowed to bring a camera. And God forbid someone brings a cell phone camera into the auditorium to take a picture.
Well,
it's ludicrous.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Good rant.
Thank you. I lost the comments. All the comments.
They said you're an idiot, Dave. Yeah. I'll just invent them. Dave, you're an idiot. Your snakes we hate your snakes. We hate your supplements.
You know what?
We hate the show. Even though we're wasting our time watching it.
Right. If we didn't have people criticizing us, then I would be worried that maybe, like, I'm like a comedian. I need an audience. If I don't have people like booing or whatever, saying anything, then it's like, maybe we're not saying anything that's controversial enough or something like that. So anyway, let's get back to Brett Wilkin. I thought he looked really good. It's nice that I thought he was going to shut it down for the whole year. You remember after the Arnold Classic, we thought that was it.
Yeah.
What do you think made him come out of the woodwork and do the show?
Probably that he didn't, if I had to guess, he looked tremendous going into the Arnold and then didn't look great at the Arnold. And as a bodybuilder, you have to decide, am I going to redeem myself now? Or am I going to redeem myself next year? And most people will say like, oh yeah, come back next year, regroup, have a good off season. But if it's just killing you, you know what I mean? If you know what you're capable of,
right.
You just don't want to wait. Like, do I wait all next year when I know what I'm capable of? That's what I think, because I thought he looked tremendous running into the Arnold. And by the time the show rolled around, it wasn't a great outing for him. And then, this is far more reflective of the way he really looked running into the Arnold.
Brett Wilkin won this show in my mind. Number one, his conditioning is awesome. Number two, he's got better legs than Presti, and I think that's really what won for him. Because Presti's got a big upper body; it's very wide.
Yeah, it's super wide.
Brett flows better. He's got way better legs. Way better legs.
It's the lack of he's got a physique that doesn't have a lot of flaws.
No, he's got a lot of muscle though too.
He does.
I think he looks bigger than he did the Arnold.
Yeah, yes, he does.
And he's leaner.
Yep, bigger, leaner. Everything's better.
I didn't even realize we have all these poses here, huh? So someone was sneaking pictures. Who wins the lat spread? I say Brett.
I say Brett, full of pecs, even though Presti's wider.
Side chest?
I would go with Brett. My first impression is with Presti, but something's...
Presti's got a better tan. I think that's really helping him a lot. Side try, I got Wilkin easily.
Yeah, Brett.
Back double. This is close.
I think
Presti, I'd say.
Presti, Presti's got a better back. He's wider. He's got great trap development. Thing looks...
Lats?
I'd probably go with Presti.
Brett on this shot, definitely.
Yeah, better legs.
Tighter waist,
Yeah.
And that's it. All right, Chris and I just did the official judging, so
we're going to we'll cancel out those judges if they have it any different than us.
We can throw those scores out and just put Chris's out.
Highs, lows, and me and Dave's.
Oh boy. Coming in third place, we had what's his name? Theo Leguiner from France. He did a lot of shows this year too.
Yeah, a lot of shows. Yeah, he's very good actually.
Yeah. He's been getting better.
Yep.
Mo Shaban was fourth, and our good friend Roman Fritz back and better than ever, fuller than ever, fifth place. So congratulations, Roman. I told you Roman had a hip replacement a year ago, right?
Crazy. Yeah.
Two of them. Well, he had one, and then they had to redo it. So I mean, the fact that he came back looking better than he's ever looked is incredible. Anyone who says they can't, train with a hip replacement, go talk to Roman Fritz. He'll set you straight. That's for sure. And that was good. I think these guys were smart doing this early in the year. Do we have any more pro shows coming up before the Olympia?
I don't know if we do or not. We had that one, and you saw Tunisia. It was my phone. That's a Tunisian texting me, actually.
I thought that was Wayne DeMillion texting you.
No. We gotta find out. We gotta read the contract of Denise Messino and who she had under contract.
Ivana Esconder won the bikini pro at the Big Man. Congratulations to her from Spain. She'll qualify for next year's Olympia as well. And the Tunisian show. Now you helped the guy who won the classic.
Waleed,
huh?
yeah.
Waleed.
He's qualified for this year's Olympia. He's going, and he's qualified by winning this for 2023. And he's got he's doing, so he'll be in.
He'll be in this year's Olympia too. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Waleed Batout. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah. Second win this year.
Yep.
Also known as my 111th IFBB Pro win.
Yeah, I can't believe you keep track. You know,
I keep track.
Yeah,
3 are from him.
Well, you have to keep track because then you got guys like Hadi and George throwing out numbers, so you got to throw your numbers.
No. So I keep exactly track, and so when people say like,
do you
blah,
keep
blah,
in like
blah,
a
I say, well,
folder?
there's a hunt. When I had a judge this year say, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, at that time I had 107 wins. I said, I have 107 pro wins. This doesn't count bikini, and that's like real wins.
Well, you have men's wins. Well, you have a couple women's wins too.
No, the point is, yeah, I included those. I have like 5
All right, so you can't say it's only men. You have women in there too.
Yeah, but it's 111. Yeah. And the goal is 200. I'm just kidding.
Then you retire?
No, I just I'm keeping track. So when that's what happened this year, when someone said, "You don't know what you're talking about," I said, "Well, I do have 111 pro wins."
Who's got the most? Who's got the most?
Me by who could possibly have more than 111?
I'm sure that George will probably try to claim more than that.
Pro wins. That means you leave the pro show. And you're like, who won? My guy.
What about Chad? Chad has a lot of them, I think, too.
Can't have close to 111, Dave.
No,
not even remotely.
You know what? You've been doing it since you're 19, Chris. That's the problem. You know,
Dave, but a lot of them. No, a lot of them came when I started doing this, and after 2010, like 95. You know what I mean?
But did you keep track of the ones back when you were like young?
No, because there weren't that many. There weren't that many pro wins back then. There was
some though. You got a lot in the 90s. You had Francois, right?
No, BK Relic. Nobody has more than 111. He says Hadi has more. It's impossibility. 111. It's 41 people. 41 people, Dave.
Chris, can you document them all if someone challenged you?
Of course I can.
Okay. All right, well, then you should make a list. And then if Hadi has more or someone else has more and they can make the list to match up, well, we can do it because we can verify it all.
41 people. You can't fit
you know what? George actually might have more because George will claim to have probably, helped people that he didn't even help, in there. Matter of fact, they might be crossover with some of your guys, which he might take credit for that he thinks he was helping.
No, he would definitely throw out a number like he'd say what is it, 111? He'd say like 113, or he'd say like 590.
Yeah, he'd say I had 590. Yeah, exactly. Oh, we love you, George. We're just making jokes here, but
no, because George is going to be the best part of the Olympia. The best part of the Olympia is when Andrew Jack. When they switch him somewhere, and they put Andrew in the middle on either the most important call out. Yeah. Because it could happen.
Yeah, no, he looks great.
They could, just Andrew in the middle.
But that George will be texting you though, too.
No, I know that. But when they put Andrew in the middle, George is going to say after prejudging, I spoke to, even my enemy told me on the side. Even Chris Aceto said, George, what did you do with Andrew when they put him in the middle?
Yeah, but the difference is that, Chris, you just do that
No, Andrew Jack is very dangerous. I'm looking forward to the way he looks, and I think.
What do you think about Milos? Milos said that he doesn't think Nick Walker and Hunter Labrada can make top 6. I had him on the show.
Who's his top 4 then? 5. Samson number 1. He'll have.
No, he didn't have Sam. He had him like 5th or 6th. He was reasonable about that. I forget what he had, Ramy and Bonac. He was very high on Bonac and Hadi, Choopan, and who else did he have in that?
Bonac will destroy Hadi, Choopan.
Yeah, well, he had those guys in there. He was very complimentary to those guys. He just felt that Walker's going to have problems, making the top 6. And then I kind of woke him up. I shook him a little bit, and then he said, "Well, he could be second."
Well, you know what? You don't know. I mean,
no, it's very hard to. Milos and I said, well, probably everything we predicted would be completely wrong. You never know.
Look, I mean, people have Akeem probably 18th, and
because he's top 5. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because remember the year he was 6th, he was 6th by default, meaning the year Akeem was 6th, why not 4th? Right. He arguably could have been 4th that year. In other words, he was so coming into the show so underrated and expected to be like that guy, to be like in the second or third call out. Then when he was in the first call out, you don't step up and take notice because he didn't have the hype like an Andrew Jack has coming into the show. So
I don't think he had Andrew up there, but you got Brandon, you got Ramy, you got Bonac, you got Hadi. So now you got 4 taking place, and then 5th and 6th he had the rest of the guys fighting for it pretty much. But you got Brandon, Valier, you got Andrew Jack, you got
Brandon
Samson could be in there.
Abdullah
Walker, Hunter Labrada. It's going to be. The problem is that 50% of those people are not going to be in their best shape. If Hunter comes in like he did last year, Hunter will not be in the top 6 if he comes in like he did last year. No way, not in this lineup.
Well,
and Nick Walker's never out of shape, so Nick Walker is going to be in that top 6. I'll bet on that. I don't know where he's going to be, but I'll bet on the top 6.
Nick by definition, he checks the boxes of freaky. He comes in great condition. Great personality, people love him. Meaning,
that doesn't matter. I'm just saying, physique wise, he never out of shape. So we're not going to.
It matters. If it matters to some degree, or if you're a judge and you just everyone's talking bad about you and everyone hates you, and you come in condition and you're huge, you're not going to. You're automatically human nature. You're not going to place where you should place.
I guess.
Because there's not one judge, there's 10 judges. And
but what I'm saying is that
people have biases.
Nick is never off. So because he's never off, I can't see him not. In other words, the only people that are going to get kicked out of the top 6 who were in the top 6 last year are guys that are not in shape, right? If Bonac comes in out of shape, he's not going to be in the top 6, you would think. If, Hunter comes in looking like he did last year, which was, I thought watery, I don't think he's going to make the top 6. If he comes in shredded, he could win the show, So there's a lot of when you're trying to handicap the show and figure out who's going to win in place, it's very hard to do because we just don't know who's going to be at their best and who's going to be off. That's the unknown factor there.
No, we handicap it every other year, and we don't know those things.
We'll do it anyway. It doesn't mean we're going to get it right, though.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Is that really who's that? Armand? What did Armand say? Hunter can't dial in coaching issue, maybe. I don't know. I don't think that. I think that they just I think they start getting nervous at the end with Hunter, he's going to be too small, maybe we got to fill him out. And you know what happens when you do that, Chris, when you start second guessing.
You can't do maybes at the Olympia.
No.
What you can't do what ifs and just you got to have a game plan, and just unfortunately people can't execute game plans because this day and age, because they're slaves to social media.
Yeah,
everyone.
I have to shut up, Chris, because Hunter has no chance according to this expert.
He's got his strengths. Hunter's got his strengths, and I'm sure what's fueling Hunter is people like me talking about him not really looking that great at the Olympia last year and still placing 4th.
Yeah. I think
that's some motivation. It has to be some motivation for him, not me, but collectively.
Something got talking about
what's that?
I said something was mistimed, because Lee was a guy who was a perfectionist with conditioning. If Lee's, even though Lee's not coaching Hunter, he's looking at Hunter. You know what I mean? If he thought that something, I have some feeling something went wrong. They timed something wrong, or they ate too much. Maybe they figured they give him some drink. A lot of times people think, well, if you drink, how when you wake up the next morning after a show, you're nice and full, and people think you got to drink. You can't cut the fluids out, but you don't cut the fluids out and you don't dry yourself out with all the nerves and all the catecholamines running through your body. You're going to hold water. You cannot have water in your body, that excess water. It doesn't go to the right compartment. That's the problem. And you can't judge what you should do by how you look the day after the show, because you have no nerves. You went to sleep. You might have had a few drinks. You were relaxed. You peed all night. You woke up looking great because there's no pressure on you. You sleep 4 hours the night before a show. You're all nervous. You're posing 600 times a day because you keep looking at yourself and looking at yourself and looking at yourself. You need a diuretic on board to get rid of that, what I call nervous water. And so sometimes people miscalculate. They say, well, maybe he's going to flatten out. We don't want to give him any diuretics, or maybe we should let him drink a little bit longer. And then what happens is you screw it up, and you go against your better judgment. And that might have been what happened. I don't know. I'm speculating, of course.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a good analysis because, it's better to come into the show like the Olympia tight and flat and dehydrated than, giving up a little bit of condition next to someone and you say like, God, I could have come in tighter. I was bigger than this guy, but I could have been tighter. But, some people can, the flip side is there are few, but they're few and far between. Some people can drink like fish and come in peeled.
Right, exactly. Well, if you guys have any opinions, I'm sure you'll put them in the comments below, whether we want you to or not. That's just the way it works here at Heavy Muscle Radio.
Well, we don't have to read them, but
no, I don't read any comments anyway.
I do.
That's people are like, oh, Dave is so cool. He never like removes like nasty comments. It's because I don't read them. Chris, I don't read them. I don't remove them. They're not that important to me, At the end of the day, I don't have time. I'm too busy chasing kids around and answering emails all day long. So, Chris, we got the Nationals coming up this weekend, NPC Nationals here in Florida. I will not be there. People have been asking me. I can't. I'm just starting to walk on my. I have a boot still on my foot, so it's just not going to work out for me this year. I won't be there, but I have a bunch of people in the show, so I'll be communicating with them and have a few weight classes. How many people you got? You help?
None, but I have 111 pro wins. Go ahead.
You always have.
I only get the pro wins, Dave.
Now you're only doing pros. Chris wants to jack his record up a little bit, so he said, you know what? No more amateurs. We're only going pro now. Only the pros. He's helping. All right, guys.
41 guys, Dave. It's not the guys who have already won pro shows like Waleed. This is pro win 3 for him. People don't even know who he is.
Under your belt, under your guidance. By the way, Chris sent me some insane video of I think it was pictures actually of Rafa Brandeo. Wow, he looks like he gained 10 pounds since the last show.
What about what's his face?
Ramon Dino too looked great.
Yeah,
but he didn't. Ramon gained a little bit, but Rafa looks like he put on a lot of muscle. I don't know how he did it, but he looked like he did it while he was dieting too, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, he's legit. He's legit.
So
nobody
can't count him out.
That's why I posted up the video. I posted up and said, sometimes you have to hype up the guy who never hype himself. You know what I mean?
He's a dark horse, Chris. He's definitely a dark horse guy that could slip in there if a lot of people are off. You know what I mean?
He doesn't have a pose where you say like,
he doesn't have weaknesses.
No, there's not a weakness on that body. Remember
Mo El Moussaoui? He reminds me of like a Mo El Moussaoui.
Yeah, Mo Moussaoui was a good bodybuilder.
Yeah,
nothing. Good. Yeah, he had good balance. Good,
he
strong
plays
everywhere. Yes, he did. I think he got 10th one year.
Yeah, and he wasn't the biggest guy up there by any means, But that's he reminds me of like a Rafa. So,
listen, I gotta amplify one of these guys. BK Relic says Chris Bumstead has 0 biceps. I don't know how he wins chasing with classic
with shit arms.
Yeah.
He's got every other body part. That's the only problem, the guy said.
Well, Ramon's got the biggest arms, I think, in the lineup.
Well, probably Breon. Breon's got the best biceps probably in the lineup. I don't know about the biggest arms. He's got the best biceps for sure.
Well, the best taper would be then Ramon as well.
Yes, absolutely, no doubt. Smallest waist probably.
How about the quads? Who's got better quads, him or Bumstead?
Bumstead.
Bumstead?
He's got good legs.
I don't think so.
I think Bumstead's bigger than Ramon.
Yeah.
I have to see them on the stage next to each other.
No, he's big. Bumstead's got big pecs. He's very, very good. He's wide. He looks better on stage than pics.
He's one of these rodent guys.
Yeah.
On stage, he looks nuts on stage, you know.
Yeah. Stand and relax who wins.
Yep.
That's a tough one.
That's a good one because Bumstead does open up when he poses.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
I think Ramon's got the smallest waist, probably up there.
Well, you don't need a small waist to win classic.
Everyone has a pretty small waist, but he has a really small waist. So we'll see. We'll be wrapping up the NPC Nationals coverage next week's show. And then, of course, we'll be doing our Olympia shows. And we're doing a lot of Olympia coverage and Iron debates over these next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for all that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you don't want to miss anything, please hit that subscribe button and you'll get notifications every time we put new videos up. For now, as we say every week with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you again next week.